Snow had been falling for 3 days without mercy, burying the mountains in a white silence, so deep it felt like the world itself had stopped breathing. The kind of storm that erased trails, swallowed sounds, and turned every step into a gamble between life and death. High above the tree line, where even wolves tread carefully, a young woman stumbled forward, each breath tearing at her lungs like broken glass. Her name was Alara, though no one in these mountains knew it, and perhaps no one would have, had fate not dragged her into the darkest place imaginable. Her body was heavy, not with weakness, but with years of shame, rejection, and cruel words that had followed her everywhere she went. She had grown up being told she took up too much space, that she was too slow, too soft, too much of everything people didn't want to see. When she fled into the mountains, it wasn't courage that drove her there, it was exhaustion. Exhaustion from being invisible in a world that never stopped staring. Her boots slipped on ice hidden beneath fresh snow, and she fell hard, rolling down a steep embankment, her scream swallowed instantly by the storm. Branches clawed at her coat, rocks bruised her ribs, and by the time her body stopped moving, pain blurred into numbness. She tried to stand, failed, and crawled instead, dragging herself toward what looked like shelter carved into the mountainside, a dark opening between stone and ice. She didn't know it was a wolf den. She didn't know death often slept there. All she knew was the wind was killing her faster than the cold. Inside the den, warmth lingered faintly, the earthy smell of fur and breath and survival heavy in the air. Alara collapsed just past the entrance, her body finally surrendering. Her eyes closed. Her chest rose shallowly, and in the darkness something stirred. The wolf was massive, old, scarred by years of brutal winters and bloody territory fights. His pack had been taken by hunger, traps, and men with guns long ago. He was known in the mountains as a beast that killed without hesitation, a shadow with teeth. Yet when he approached the fallen woman, he did not snarl. He did not bare his fangs. He circled her once, sniffing deeply, confused by her scent, fear, sorrow, and something else, gentleness. Slowly, impossibly, the great wolf lowered himself beside her and curled against her stomach, drawn to the warmth of her soft belly, his breathing slowing until it matched hers, like a pup finding its mother, like a soul remembering something it had forgotten. Miles away, a mountain man named Caleb Holt tracked the storm. He had lived alone in these peaks for nearly 20 years, surviving where others vanished. He knew wolves. He respected them. He feared none, except the one rumored to live above the ravine. Caleb was tall, broad-shouldered, his body carved by cold and labor. He wore no shirt, even in winter, his skin hardened by years of defiance against nature itself. That morning he followed, unusual tracks leading toward the den, human footprints, staggering, wrong. When Caleb reached the cave, the sight before him froze his blood. A woman, unconscious, and the wolf, his wolf, sleeping on her like a child. Caleb's hands flew to his head, disbelief tearing through him. This beast had slaughtered bears, had driven men away with one look, and yet here he was, curled peacefully, protecting her warmth with his own life. Caleb didn't move. He didn't breathe. Some moments are too sacred to interrupt, too dangerous to misunderstand. The woman stirred faintly. The wolf lifted his head, eyes locking with Caleb's. There was no threat in them, only warning. Caleb slowly backed away, understanding something profound had happened here, something older than fear, older than instinct. The mountain had chosen her. As the storm howled outside, Caleb knew one truth with terrifying clarity. Saving her would change everything, and in the silence of the frozen den, fate took its first breath. When Alara woke, warmth was the first thing she noticed, and fear the second. She felt weight on her stomach, steady and alive. Her eyes snapped open and she screamed. The wolf lifted his head but did not move away. His golden eyes studied her, calm, ancient, unafraid. Alara's scream echoed once before fading into the stone. Caleb stepped forward then, his voice low, firm, cutting through panic like a blade. He told her not to move, told her she was safe, told her the wolf would not hurt her, and somehow, impossibly, she believed him. The days that followed were a blur of survival and transformation. Caleb carried Alara through snowdrifts to his cabin when the storm broke, the wolf watching from the trees like a silent guardian. Alara's body healed slowly, her strength returning inch by inch. But something deeper changed. For the first time in her life, she was not judged by her shape, her size, her softness. The wolf had chosen her warmth. The mountain man had risked everything for her life. In that isolation, stripped of the world's cruelty, Alara found something she had never known: worth. Caleb watched her rediscover herself with quiet awe. He had lived his life believing solitude was safety. That love was weakness. But Alara laughed despite her pain. She cried without shame. She spoke to the wolf like an old friend, and the beast listened. The mountain, once harsh and unforgiving, softened around them. Snow melted earlier. Game returned. Life followed her like it recognized her too. When spring came, Alara stood outside the cabin. Stronger, steadier, her reflection no longer an enemy. She had fallen into a wolf's den and found family, found protection, found herself. And Caleb understood then that some storms are not meant to destroy, but to deliver us exactly where we belong. If this story moved you, if it reminded you that worth is not measured by appearance, strength, or society's cruelty, then let this channel be your home for stories that heal, inspire, and restore faith in humanity. Subscribe now, because the next story might be the one that finds you when you need it most.